The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by the Elite Experience, Elite Shotguns, and is fueled by Fiocchi.
Paul?
Welcome to the Dead Pair Podcast, coming in hot with everything you want to hear about sporting clays.
Guy Fieri.
How are you, gentlemen? Thanks for having me.
Anthony Matarese Jr., how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well.
Welcome back, David Radulovic.
That's a net positive 30 minutes.
Brad Kidd. Corey Cruz. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Now I feel awkward.
With your hosts, Jason
One
Rambo
more Red Bull for you.
and Sean Alley.
Woo, yeah!
Christmas.
Let's do it!
Often imitated but never duplicated. It's the Dead Pair Podcast. And now, it's showtime.
What's up, Large and in Charge?
Well, Jason, I bet you, I say it time and time again, you're missing all that fun weather up here in Ohio, buddy.
No.
Yeah, you are.
No, not at
You
all.
miss it a
No.
lot, I can tell.
No, you can't make me.
Yeah, it's the bitter part of winter here. We're in getting down to single-digit temperatures here coming up, and that's going to be really, 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 really nice for you.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, hey, listen, big thank you, Elite Shotguns. Listen, if you can't afford a high-end Kolar like what Sean and I have, they got a lot of guns to fit your budget and to fit you. So make sure you can give those guys a call.
Absolutely. And a big thank you to Fiocchi USA. We love putting those things in the barrels and making them go click bang because they do it every time.
And they just smoke targets.
They do.
Of course, the folks over at Rhino Chokes, you know how much we love them. Gonna try and do something special with them here coming up. So stay tuned for that one. But Chokes, barrel porting, if you need your forcing cones lengthened, you need your gun fit, you need recoil system put on, go see the folks at Rhino and you'll understand why we brag about them so much.
Yep. And everybody knows those RE Ranger Reacts are just one of the best shooting glasses you can have. Love mine, Jason. I know you still love yours. Hopefully one of these days we'll be able to announce that big news that everybody's been waiting on to get the prescription glasses out there to everybody that needs them.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. Of course, the girls at Odo Pro Technologies, thank you very much, Dr. Grace. By the way, everyone, if you have any questions for Dr. Grace, we're going to have her on to answer your questions. So please send us an email, send us a direct message, Facebook, Instagram's fine. But any questions you have for Dr. Grace concerning hearing or the products that she offers, please write into us. We're going to get her on for a special episode to talk about that.
Yep. And if you're in the market for a trap, we love those U.S.-made Atlas traps, and Mr. Jason Rambo is the guy you want to get a hold of. He can hook you up, whether you want a couple traps just for the backyard or a complete 5-stand package, or if you're a club looking to refit all of your gear, just give him a call and he'll help you out.
Absolutely, I will. Of course, Vero Beach Clay Shooting Sports, home of the Dead Pair Blast. Going to have some news coming about that one here soon. Hopefully to hear back from Mr. Brian Palmer on the final details so we can get that announced. But listen, if you're in Florida, I don't care when it is, you owe it to yourself to get down there and see the folks at Vero Beach and understand what a beautiful, beautiful club it is and what kind of a big punch it packs for a small club.
Definitely. And also, let's not forget the lovely Dawn Grant. If you need to get your mind right or work on your mental training for tournaments, she's the one to call. She's helped a lot of people, including a lot of pros that you may not even have heard about. But Dawn is the girl. Give her a call.
Yes, absolutely. And Score Chaser, last but definitely not least. Hey, listen, if you're taking someone new to a tournament, you're going to have to turn them on to Score Chaser and help them out. Even if you have questions that haven't been answered, go back and listen to previous episodes that we've done with Casey Chase. And if you still have questions, give those girls a call over there at Score Chaser. They'll be more than happy to help you out. Sean Alley, we are running out of time. Tick tock for the golf cart raffle.
Yep. Somebody's going to win that puppy. It is really nice. There's a video online from YouTube showing how the cart was manufactured. And it's going to be down at Vero Beach. We're going to give it to one lucky winner during the Caribbean Cup. And if you guys want to buy raffle tickets, just go to deadpair.givesmart.com and purchase your raffle tickets there. Somebody's going to win it, and they're going to deliver it to you wherever you are in the USA.
Absolutely. And of course, don't forget clubs and coaches. If you are a club or a manager of a club, or if you are a coach or instructor, you want to be on our website, please get a hold of us. I'd like to get your information added. And those you shooters out there, this is going to be an easy button for you. State by state, clubs and coaches available to you at your fingertips. So get on our website, thedeadpair.com, and check that out.
Yeah, Jason, we've got a couple new tourney talks to announce. You got time for that?
Let's do it.
All righty.
It's Tourney Talk. Brought to you by Score Chaser.
All righty. Oregon State Championship at Crewell Clay Target Sports is open July 12th through the 14th, and Pennsylvania State Championship at Stony Creek Shooting Center is open June 5th through the 9th. And last but not least, Louisiana State at Covey Rise. That is June 13th through the 16th. All of those tournaments are now open. Get them booked and get them logged in before they run out of good spots.
Man, I tell you what, all these big state shoots coming out. It's the exciting time of the year. Hopefully everybody listened to that episode we did with Wendell Cherry about winter training. Lots of good nuggets in there. Hopefully everybody's getting with their coach, getting with their instructor, putting in the work, because it's coming.
Yeah. Not soon enough up here, but we're waiting.
Hey, and one last thing before we get to Miss Dianna Muller. Questions for the coaches. If it's not a coach on our list, but you have a question for him, don't hesitate. Send us those questions. We'll get a hold of that coach. We'll get him on the air to answer that. Speaking of which, Dianna Muller, Sean Alley, this gal, I'm telling you what, it take us 20 minutes to read her resume.
Yeah.
Unbelievable what this woman has accomplished and what she is doing for all of us that own firearms. So we're going to get her on and talk about this. She's going to kind of steer us in the right direction. You know what I'm talking about, Sean, with, taking somebody new shooting. If they don't own a gun or if they haven't shot a firearm before, it can be a tricky conversation.
It can. And I think she's got a lot of good advice and a lot of good information, especially with everybody that owns firearms. She's on she's on the attack for people, trying to get all those laws equalized for all of us, and be fair, so that we're not allowing media to slander firearms in the negative way that they typically kind of do. So I'm really anxious to hear what she has to say.
Yeah, and like I said, this girl's got a long list of accolades. We'll let her read them off, but this is going to be good. So, Sean, let me get her on the phone. I think she's waiting on us to call.
Cool.
The Dead Pair.
Welcome to the show, Miss Dianna Muller. How are you, ma'am?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Dianna, great to see you. Great to talk to you again. I know we ran into each other down at the Fiocchi team meeting at the end of Nationals. Really had to dig in and see exactly who you were. You spoke a little bit about what you're doing. Totally impressive. We're going to get into that, but yeah, just glad to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
How's Ryan doing? Which, by the way, everybody, Ryan is her husband, and he had a little bit of an accident. How's he doing?
Yeah, that was a little diversion in our Christmas plans, but he is on the mend, and we are hopeful for 100% recovery. He did break his back and bruised his spinal cord, and has had 2 major surgeries, and was paralyzed from the waist down at first, and now we're getting to the point where we can move some things, but not everything's come back yet. And like I said, we're helpful.
Well,
thanks for asking about him.
That's good. He's definitely in our prayers for sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Dianna, for our listeners that are probably scratching their heads right now, because this is a Clay Target podcast, and they're probably going, who in the world is this? So for our listeners that might not know who you are, can you please give us some of your background and tell us what you do?
Sure. Well, the bridge between the two of us is Fiocchi. So my husband and I shoot 3-gun, and we shoot for Team Fiocchi as well as you guys shoot for Team Fiocchi. So that is the connection between the two. And then when we had the team meeting, we touched on how to talk about the Second Amendment effectively and not offensively. And I think that's what kind of sparked your guys' interest. Well, I just happened to have started a women's organization called Women for Gun Rights. And we basically try to counter those anti-moms called Moms Demand Action and other groups who use the female voice to call and demand for more gun control. And in our opinion, gun control is a failed policy over and over again. You can see that they are failures and they do not keep you safe. So I think it's a different vehicle to have a woman say that, as opposed to the traditional gun owner that might look more like you guys and that can be dismissed, that have been demonized and disenfranchised. So that's where the Women for Gun Rights is. And on top of that, I'm a retired police officer. So I did 22 years at the Tulsa Police Department. So I feel like, in this Women for Gun Rights arena, that I have some experience with violence. I have some experience with firearms. And that's a lot of what the antis don't have. They don't have any experience. They're running on pure emotion and demanding things that are only going to restrict their ability to be safer in the world.
Gotcha. Well, Dianna, before we dig into that too far, let's go back and touch on the mutual relationship we have with our love of shooting. You recently competed in Tokyo representing the USA. Can you tell us a little bit about that competition and your trip?
Yeah. So it was Thailand. It was Pattaya, Thailand is the IPSC World Shotgun Championship. So when people hear shotguns, they usually think of what your guys' traditional sporting clays, trap, things like that. But this is an action-based sport. So we are running and gunning with shotguns, this one specific shotgun. And, we're shooting steel knockdown targets. We're shooting clays. We're shooting a few flyers and slugs and buck. So it was a 5-day world competition. There were 48 countries there. It definitely has an Olympic feel. And it's as close to the Olympics as we get. So it was fantastic. It was a fantastic trip. There were I had two other Fiocchi family members there, Lena Michalik and Lanny Barnes. And they both won gold. I want to brag on them a little bit. My performance was a little lackluster, but Fiocchi did bring home 2 individual gold medals and then 2 individual team medals for Fiocchi. So it was pretty exciting.
Nice.
Yeah, traveling international. I don't know how much you guys travel international, but it's always sporty.
It's on our bucket list. We haven't gone out of the country to shoot yet. And I apologize for saying Tokyo. I don't know why I had T on my brain and I said Tokyo instead of Thailand. So
that's all right. I think that was one of my layovers, but
Well, Dianna, moving forward, tell us a little bit about the DC project and how and why you started it, because I think it's really relevant here.
Well, thanks. And you mentioned the DC project. So that's how we started out. I didn't plan on starting an organization. I just knew that I just felt like there was this need, a hole that needed to be filled. And so I only had standing in Oklahoma where we lived at the time. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to go to Washington, D.C. and talk to I'll just be able to Oklahoma. So I started talking to other women, and we were basically one woman from every state was my goal. And then when we saw all the stuff in Virginia was anti-gun legislature from the governor on down, and all of those counties, like 98% of their counties, consider themselves sanctuary 2A counties. And so it's evident that the legislators aren't listening to their constituents. It's just that they're, hammering ahead with their agenda. But it was at that point I was like, holy cow, this is happening in the States. So I asked the women who had been coming to Washington, D.C. once a year to turn around and go back and do the same thing at the state level. So there were my state directors. And then just recently we officially went through a name change to Women for Gun Rights. So if you hear DC Project, that's what we started with. And then we added the tagline Women for Gun Rights. And now we're just dropping the DC Project and sticking with Women for Gun Rights.
Awesome. I mean, that had to be a big undertaking. I mean, you're talking somebody from all 50 states. That had to be pretty hard for you at first to get going with that, didn't it?
Well, looking back on it, I just feel like it's been very organic. So I did what I could, and that's where we are at today. So we now have state chapters, you would say, I guess, and anyone can join. It's free to join, and basically all we're doing is dumping you into that state network, and letting you know if there's not fundraisers, but fairs, events, testimony. A lot of our girls will go testify, whether it be at a local, state, or federal level, and groom people to be real advocates. I say all the time, if I'm a Christian, if I didn't spend any time in the Word, I didn't spend any time with the Lord, there's no relationship there. I have no way to talk to anybody about it because I don't know anything about it. It's just kind of a very surface level. Well, the same thing with the Second Amendment. If you say you support the Second Amendment, but you can't talk to your friends, your family, or your legislators or your community about it, you're not doing anybody any good. If it's same thing with America, if you don't understand the Constitution, if you don't understand how our country should be working, then how much of an American really are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't talk about it.
Right. And that actually brings up a point and a question I was going to make. It's, one of the main reasons for having you on our show is because we tell everyone every week. I mean, Sean and I just harp it. Take someone new shooting, take them to a tournament. Thanks to the media's portrayal of firearms in this country, that can be a difficult conversation to have with someone that's new to firearms. So if our listeners are running into this when they're out talking to people, trying to get them in this sport we love so much, how can you help them with this conversation?
Well, we actually have on our website, womenforgunrights.org, we have a downloadable one-page document that will really help people, whether you're going to do an interview or whether you're going to Thanksgiving or whether you're trying to talk to somebody specific at work. It goes through all of the usual suspects, I call them, universal background checks, red flag laws, storage laws. And it's, okay, so I don't support universal background checks, but how do I really articulate that? So we kind of break it down into little bite-sized morsels that you can study. It's a study sheet. It's a study guide.
Kind of like a cheat sheet.
So it's a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
And it'll help, if you can just keep it around and look at it every once in a while and try to test yourself on and step out and have those conversations, create conversations, you can write something a letter to the editor, create some opportunities that you will actually be in front of people and have those conversations.
Well, Dianna, I want to circle back. As a former police officer, your experience is important. I'm sure you've probably had to deal with some good and bad situations regarding firearms, I would say, or I would guess. Did you have any direct experience with dealing with firearm incidents while you were
an on-duty police officer? And then, with saying that, could you explain maybe some of the challenges that police officers deal with on a day-to-day basis, in relationship to firearms?
Well, yeah, the answer is the only time I actually shot my firearm in the line of duty was to shoot 2 dogs. And I hated to do that, but sometimes there's violence is the answer.
Right.
And but I pulled my gun a lot. I mean, I don't know if it was me being good at convincing people that they needed to do what I said, or me having good negotiation skills or whatever, but I was in a very high crime area and really liked to chase bad guys. So I pointed my gun at a lot of people, but I've never had to shoot anybody, which is, it's a blessing. I've been around people in my units have used deadly force, and it changes your life forever. And people think that gun owners are trigger happy, but really our training is to avoid conflict and avoid using deadly force and escalating at appropriate levels and then trying not to, because it's going to change your life, whether you're justified or not. Whether you're a civilian or a police officer, it's a huge responsibility and it weighs heavily on everybody.
Well, and the reason I bring that up, we've got 2 good friends in the shooting community, used to be former members of the NYPD shotgun team, Frank Bruno, Chick Bassani. We've had them on our podcast before, and they currently do a lot of stuff with the youth, and they try to do partnership events like between a police officer and a youth shooter to introduce kids to firearms. So I was just curious,
and police officers, because like you said earlier, the media, mainstream media, social media, we are being squelched and censored and demonized so much that it's tough to, kids have been told that guns are bad.
Right.
They don't get explained that guns are tools, and that there's an amount of responsibility that comes with it. So I think that the kids in the shooting sports are the best kids on the face of the planet. and I'm sure you guys have had similar experiences, but
Oh, yeah.
but kudos
Yeah, definitely.
to them for doing that and trying to bring more people into the fold. But it really feels like sometimes that we're doing the whole, trying to save every sand dollar that's washed up on the shore, and you can only save one at a time, and there's so many. So
Right. Right. So, all right. Well, let me switch gears here for a second. So, all right. What are some basic, simple steps that all regular gun owners can take to help work towards bettering, the opinions or attitudes towards, other firearm owners?
two things come to mind. First of all, smile and be nice.
Well, you're out the
And
window, Sean.
you are representing more than yourself. So if you have a firearm sticker on the back of your car and you're honking and doing some road rage stuff, that's influencing people. And then secondly, I intentionally wear branded material to places where I can possibly, airports, community things. I know one of our board members, what did she wear? She wore some kind of gun shirt. Oh, it's our educate, not legislate. So we have a signature T-shirt, and it says legislate is in block letters, and it's crossed out like it'd be on a chalkboard, and then educate is on top of it. That's our signature shirt because we believe that's that's what leads to safety in firearms and violence prevention. Well, she wore that to pick up her kid at school. She wants to. She's trying to have those conversations. So that's something else that gun owners can do, is that they can be intentional and they're branded, and then be prepared to have conversations and really be prepared for the hate. Expect it, and then it takes a big person to not react to that. No throat punching, even though throat punching might be justified. Just trying to be a positive influence and doing it intentionally.
Well, let me try and get a broad view, because you're into politics a lot more than we are when it comes to the Second Amendment. Do you think we're making progress with fighting the good fight on the Second Amendment, or is it entirely dependent on the administration that's in the White House, or is it more of a constant, ongoing battle, or what do you think? What is your temperature on the climate? Let's put it that way when it comes to the Second Amendment.
Well, there's definitely forces at work to disarm America. And I think that they are using these emotional tragedies to push for an agenda. And these people who, are in these anti-gun groups, I feel like if I had an audience with them and I could explain to them some things from a female personal perspective, that I could probably take half of their audience. But they don't have anybody. They're not, we're being censored, we're being squelched. We really have a hard time reaching outside of our own demographic. But I don't know. Second Amendment I feel like, there's 25, 26 states now that have gone constitutional carry.
Mm-hmm.
The country has seen Black Lives Matter. They have seen the demonization to defund the police. And those people who are somewhat intelligent recognize the fact that there's a problem here. Is that you're telling me that guns are not the answer, and then you're defunding the police, the people who are supposed to come and save me. So who is going to save me? Are we supposed to rely on Batman, or what's the deal? So
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have awakened in the past probably 2 or 3 years. But, this administration is definitely continually coming after, they call them assault weapons. Well, do forks make people fat? No, they don't. So, but again, there's a lot of gun owners. Especially in the shotgun world, there's a lot of shotgun people that might agree with that. Who needs an assault weapon? Well, I would refer back to the cheat sheet of, it's a semi-automatic. It is no different than any other semi-automatic, and it's no more deadly. More people are killed with 22s than anything. So, it's just a matter of educating internally, the people who are in our circle, the people who do own guns. I have conversations, with gun owners. If we could just get gun owners to really support the Second Amendment and say all of this rubbish, all of these things, that 22,000 laws on the books that are not effective, if we can just get them on board, then those are the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of territorial things. I've had an archer guy, somebody in archery, really come down on a girl, a teenager that went hunting with an AR, and bashing her. And I'm like, what are you doing? You don't need that many rounds. Well, she didn't use that many rounds. She just had a tool that had more than, talk to the guys the rooftop Koreans, the people who during the LA riots defended their homesteads and their businesses. I mean, you got to think past hunting when you're talking about AR-15s or any kind of caliber that the media is trying to demonize. So
yeah,
we're definitely making strides. To answer your question, but I feel like that divide is even bigger. Those people who really think that gun control is the answer are further away from the people who think that it doesn't. So I think that 20 years ago, that divide was a lot less. But there, like I said, there's been a very intentional effort to disarm America, and it's working.
Well, you made a comment a minute ago about the youth, and Sean and I's favorite example of this is the SCTP Nationals that's held at the Cardinal Center in Ohio. There's 3,500 kids that compete there, and that's more than the national championship for sporting clays. And they come with their mom and their dad and their grandma and them friends, and I'd hate to know how many actual people are there, but I know there's 3,500 kids competing, and across, I think, it's almost 2 weeks, Sean, or maybe it's a tick over 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's like 10 or 12 days.
Yeah. Well, it's not quite 2 weeks, but anyway, Jake Spangler was telling me that they fired over 1 million rounds. Not one kid left with a Band-Aid. You can't, and my favorite example of this is, show me a high school football game where that happens, right? It doesn't.
Right.
But here is properly educated children with firearms, and there's no problem. But, and that's been a big argument, I shouldn't say argument. It's been a big misunderstanding. And again, going back to us trying to introduce more people to the sport, the people that are listening to this, I'm sure somebody can level with me on this. They've ran across that person, that buddy golfer of theirs. It's like, man, guns are a bad idea, blah, blah, you know what I mean? And that's why we have you on here, is to help clarify some things. Look, Sean and I are just two meatheads, okay? We get the experts on and ask the right questions, and you're the expert. So, but I don't know, Sean. I mean, what's your take on what she had to say?
Well, and I think another important thing to call out, Jason and I, when we started this podcast, we didn't know how it was going to go. And it wasn't very long before we started getting contacts from people all around the globe. I mean, England, Australia, Germany, Russia, Japan. And, we really do take it for granted here, the freedoms we have with our firearms. Because when we talk to those people, there's such an amount of restrictions, and they've basically locked a lot of stuff down to where you can only have certain types of firearms. Some of them are not permissible. I mean, like getting a pistol in England is probably almost impossible.
And God forbid you defend yourself. You're going to go to jail.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's one of the things that I think everybody over here takes for granted day in and day out, that, hey, it's no big deal to go to the range or go to the sporting clay tournament or whatever, go shoot pop cans in your backyard. We can go do that. In so many other countries, most countries, they're not able to.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and back to the kids and the 3,500 kids. It's like, how much local media was there? How much, it's very difficult to get earned media on firearms related things. In Tulsa, this is my third World Shotgun match, and it only comes around every 3-4 years. So I was still a police officer when I went to my first one, and they didn't care that they didn't want to cover any kind of my shooting sports. the local ones that have, that I have relationships with because they cover crime and the crime girl. And I think she did one interview on me on all of the times that, I've invited her out to the range and because we have a fantastic range in Tulsa, United States Shooting Academy, and they had major matches there. And I'm like, this is a big deal for the city. And like you talked about, when there's 3,500 kids show up, they're spending money. This is a money game. And these cities need to be able to say that, but it's really hard to influence those, those golfer friends that don't see it on the news, that don't hear any kind of positive reinforcement when it comes to firearms.
Well, you know what? I had a guy call me, it was about a month ago, Sean, and he bought some traps from me. I'm an Atlas trap dealer, and the funny thing about this story is him and his wife had never shot a shotgun before, and they stumbled across a podcast and they decided to take it up, and now they're just, they went out and bought guns and they're ate up with the bug, and he's training and shooting tournaments and they just love it. But that was an easy convincing. There's some people that, man, I'm telling you that the way the media has portrayed some of this stuff is sometimes even as current gun owners, you start to question yourself, because the way they portray it is so bad. And, that's what I want to fizzle out as much as I can. I think this cheat sheet you have, what's the website that it's on again?
womenforgunrights.org.
Perfect. I think we need to get that up, Sean Alley. Get it posted on the Dead Pair. Well, I don't know if they'll let us post it on Facebook or not, but we'll definitely get it up.
We can at least put the link up and then let people go there themselves. Dianna, not to put you on the spot or anything, but as far as when you're dealing with people that may have differing opinions on firearms, and I know that you and the ladies in your organization probably deal with it fairly regularly, how successful do you feel you guys are in actually being able to establish calm, clear, rational communication with the other side? And do you feel like you're able to make any inroads as far as building some common ground and bringing up common sense, facts and points to kind of maybe soften some of their viewpoints?
Absolutely. And it may only be, one starfish, or it may only be two people that come up and say, I really appreciate what you said and I'd like more information. But it seems like everybody that goes out there and testifies or goes out there and does an event and hears some of our girls speaking, it puts a pause on, and it just really changes the narrative in their head. So, and we've had people that, it really does work. I mean, you can speak up and you can influence people in your immediate circle.
See, this is where the cheat sheet's going to be important for me, because I get frustrated, when they start throwing just completely obscene, false narrative back at you. Like, I was the guy in debate class who was like, oh yeah, well, your tie looks stupid. I couldn't, I get flustered. So the cheat sheet's going to be a good one.
Well, and they're going to come at you with all sorts of skewed statistics. And that's kind of where I stop. I don't try to match them with statistics, and I don't try to go down their statistic rabbit hole. There are skewed statistics probably on both sides. But the fact being, and it's in the deal, is that, the CDC did a study. They have wiped it from their website because of the pressure from the anti-gunners recently. But they did a study under Obama in 2013. And the CDC said that there were firearm saves, from 200,000 to 2 million. So 200 was the low number. And these people are going to throw you out the, 45,000 gun deaths a year if you could just save one. Well, you need to know that that guns save lives. And what about those 200,000, those 2 million people? It's very hard to track the saves, because if I didn't have to shoot somebody, that should still count.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I saved my life and I saved their life. And so it's exponentially more gun saves than there are gun deaths. So shouldn't those lives matter? But yeah, it's the statistics are definitely tough to hear, and try to counter. So I just tell them, those are skewed statistics.
Gotcha. Well, Dianna, I mean, there's a lot to talk about here. We don't have enough time in the world to cover everything. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to mention or bring up, before we get this podcast wrapped up?
Sure. We need people. We need people to join us because there's strength in numbers. And then we also need Elon Musk's phone number because the antis are funded by Bloomberg. Moms Demand Action alone is like a $60 million budget a year. So that's what we're up against. That Bloomberg is putting the money up to actually take away your constitutional rights. And there's really not a whole lot of effort to counter those voices. And we're doing it on a shoestring budget. So any kind of support, I would love to have conversations with somebody who wanted to support us. But also, the Ambassador Academy, my husband and I started the Ambassador Academy about 5 years ago. It's a 5-day training class down in Florida. We've got one coming up February 17th through the 21st, 2024. And I have about 2 seats available, so it's not too late. But it's basically media training. So, one of you guys could step in front of a camera and get in the hot seat even. We do friendly podcast type stuff like this. And we also do hot seat stuff like you'd be on The View and people would be spewing out hate and discontent. So you can actually practice those things with a professional. We hire all sorts of subject matter experts, whether it be for social media, hostile communications, filming and editing, because we all have a camera in our phone that is capable of exponentially more than we know how to do, and then the social media aspect, that's still a valuable tool for sponsored shooters, anybody within our industry. So we kind of train everybody. It's drinking from the fire hose, a lot of different topics, but it's at a 5-star facility, and it's ambassadoracademy.info is the website there.
Okay. And do you guys actually have any kind of scheduled speaking events for you and your ambassadors, or is this more of just kind of an impromptu way to deal with the negativity?
No, this is just a structured one time a year class.
Okay.
Like I said, it's 5 days, and it's just kind of an intensive. And it really, I don't expect anybody to walk out and be Kolar Noir or Dana Lash, who are probably the 2 best Second Amendment talking heads. But you're planting seeds there, and you're giving people the opportunity it's an instructor development type, deal. So, yeah.
Do me a favor after the podcast and text me all those links. I want to make sure and get those put up in the podcast description, so that way anybody's driving down the road listening to this, they don't have to pull over right away. Yeah. They can just look at it when they get home.
I'll do that.
Dianna, I want to do something here with you. We call this rapid fire. Now this is going to be a little bit more difficult to do because you shoot 3 different types of firearms at your competition. So we'll try to, Sean, help me out here. We'll try and tweak it a little bit for you. So let's go through. I know you shoot pistol, rifle, shotgun. Tell us the 3 firearms that you compete with.
I use a Benelli M2 for my shotgun. It's a 12 gauge. And I use a 2011 from Hayes Custom Guns in 9mm. And then I use a Daniel Defense AR-15.
Nice.
Good stuff.
So now we're going to go to the ammo. Now, normally we ask, we don't need to ask you what brand. We know you run the best with Fiocchi, but we normally ask what's your recipe? Is it 1 1/8 ounce, 7 1/2 eighths? But you shoot 3 different, so go ahead and give us all 3 if you don't mind.
Well, that's right. Like I said in the World Shotgun, it's the entire gamut of shotguns. So in 3-gun, it's not, we don't get into the weeds. When I shoot 7.5, we don't get into a big recipe for 3-gun or the world match. But we do, I did put in a lot of time patterning my buckshot and patterning my slugs at different distances and things like that. So basically, let's see, I shot a slug at about 15 yards at a clay, prone. So that was accuracy.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what loads do you shoot in your pistol and your rifle?
Just the Full Metal Jacket 9mm. And then in the rifle, we have a short game and a long game and 3-gun. So anything short, I use a 55 grain, and anything over about 200 yards, I use a 77 grain. But the coolest thing, I'll give a shout out to Fiocchi, because the coolest thing is the 55 grain and the 77 grain fly very similar. The most similar that I've seen, because when you go to other brands, if your audience doesn't know, you can get a flight pattern that's 12 inches difference, from 200, 300 yards. You're looking at a big, huge spread.
Yeah.
So you would have to know exactly where you're aiming with which ammo. But with Fiocchi, it flies really, really close to each other until you get out to those longer ranges.
Nice.
Gotcha. And not to put you on the spot, but have you ever dabbled around with any of the sporting clays or, trap, skeet, any of that kind of stuff?
No.
No? Okay.
No, but maybe that's something that we need to do next time we're together.
I think that'd
Heck
be
yeah.
awesome. We'll do like a cross. I don't know what would you call that, Sean? Like a cross sport competition or something.
Yeah, cross-sport competition. I'll go with that.
There you go. Dianna, what kind of glasses do you shoot with?
I actually am not sponsored by glasses. I like Pila's, and I also like Hunter's Gold, HD Gold.
Okay. What about your ear protection?
Same with that. I use little foamies all the way up to whatever electronic thing is on the buggy.
we need to get you in touch with Dr. Grace from Auto Pro. Okay, now we normally ask like what vest or whatever. I know you don't wear a vest. So what is your gear when you're competing?
The belt is a big deal. So you'll see us with there's a couple of different major manufacturers. We choose Safariland, and the belt that we have is a customizable. I can take all my accessories on and off, even my holster. So in 3-gun, I might walk up to an all rifle stage. I might walk up to an all 3-gun stage. And I need to be able, I don't have a whole lot of real estate, so I need to be able to customize it into what I need. And that belt works really nice. It's a ELS system from Safariland.
Oh, nice.
Now I know, speaking in the shotgun world, I know that a lot of those people that shoot 3-gun spend a lot of time practicing their speed reloads. Are you one of those people that can jam 2 shells at a time in the gun when you're reloading?
We jam 4 shells at a time in it.
4 shells at a time. Okay,
you
I gotta
better go
see this.
sit down, Mr. Alley. This girl is jamming 4.
Wow.
Yeah, we draw 4 shells at a time and sloop 2 at a time.
Wow.
And I can't catch 2 empties coming out of an over under.
So how many shots does your Benelli hold?
12 plus 1 in the chamber.
See, that's what we need, Jason. That's why we're not doing as well as sporting clays.
Sean, come on, we'd both still miss. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Oh, dude, I could tell you, I could shoot your game if you would give me more than 1 per clay. I could do it on the second one every time.
Now, Dianna, you're not allowed to use something belt fed. I mean, you're limited to 2 shells.
Yeah, well, when I play your game, I usually have to use 2 of them on one shot, so one bird, so I can get at least 1.
Yeah, Sean, I'm telling you, we got to take her and Ryan shooting. When he gets better, Diana, we're going shooting. We're gonna go shoot your game. You're gonna go shoot our game. I think it'd be fun.
Heck yeah!
But that sounds like a good idea.
Maybe we'll even video it. Hey, one last question on the rapid fire. I forgot. We usually ask like, what's in your bag, and we're always looking for something weird. Like the lucky rabbit's foot. The one that I'm always hung up on is somebody said to use a rosin bag, and I actually started using one, and I really like it. Carry anything weird, funny that might be cool to tell about in your gear bag?
Well, not in my gear bag, but 99% of the time I have fingernail clippers in my right front pocket.
Really?
Yep. I'm tired of breaking fingernails and not having something around or having a hangnail. And so I honestly, everybody knows that. So they ask me for, I let other people use it. I'm the fingernail clipper girl.
That's a first. Yeah, heck yeah.
That's awesome.
That's as weird as I can get for you.
Well, Dianna, we really appreciate you coming on. And if anybody has any questions or maybe they want to get more involved, is there another contact form other than the links you're going to send me that you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I would love for everyone to follow me. Of course, social media is so important to our sponsors and to our competitive shooters. So I'm on Instagram. I'm Dianna Muller, Di Muller, I think. Dimuller. And then on Facebook, I'm Dianna Muller 3Gun. And I'd love a follow on any of those and just hit me up on social media.
Awesome. Well,
Very
like I
cool.
said, we appreciate you spending some time with us. Best wishes to Ryan. Look for a speedy recovery because Sean and I are going to go out and show you how dumb we look trying to shoot 3 different guns. So
I do think that we need to do some kind of that needs to be a video.
yeah, absolutely. It's all going to be
Oh,
on
wow.
film.
Now you're wanting to make evidence. Oh, geez. Come on, man.
Sean, you better keep going on that diet. You're going to have to shoot from the prone position, brother.
Yeah, I'll have to work on that. So, well, Diane, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. Again, thank you so much. We know how busy you are. I know we've been talking about this since Nationals last year, and it's awesome to finally get you on the show and allow you to tell your message to our listeners.
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks again, Diane. We appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, Jason, Dianna is certainly an impressive lady, and I know that we didn't really get to go into a lot of detail about what some of her accomplishments are, but I think you've got a little bit of a list there, right, that maybe our listeners might want to know about.
Dude, she was so humble about it. I mean, look, she's got a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice and Psychology from the University of Missouri. I mean, the girl was 22-year police officer, retired. She's a founder of the DC Project. Let's see what else here. She's 2013, 2016 USPSA Ladies Open National Champion, Pan American Shotgun matches, and 2 IPSC World Shotgun competitions.
I think they call that IPSC for short.
Yes, taking home a silver in individual and gold in the ladies team in 2015 and 2018. She co-hosted Shooting Gallery on the Outdoor Channel. I mean, she's married to Ryan Muller. She's got, Fiocchi, Benelli, 511 Tactical, LaPole, Daniel Defense. I mean, these are some of her sponsors. I mean, the girl's, she's got a long list of achievements and she just keeps racking them up. But
Yep.
the biggest thing I want everybody to take from this is what she's doing on the floor, literally every week, fighting for a Second Amendment. And I hope everybody goes and downloads that cheat sheet. I know I'm going to, Sean.
Yeah, definitely. It's something, like I said, we all too often try to take for granted, and we don't really realize how difficult it is in the rest of the world to do the things that we do, or it might even be impossible to do the things that we do here in the United States.
Right. And, again, the basis of this, and I hope everybody understands, I'm not trying to be political on this podcast, Sean, where that's just not our message.
No.
But our message is take someone new shooting, take them to a tournament. You're going to run into these people that want to have this kind of cross-confrontation discussion with you about firearms. If you have the right knowledge, well, maybe that person can go back and go, well, okay, maybe I need to try this. And then next thing you know, you've convinced another person that the Second Amendment's not a bad thing. And it's actually there for your own good, number one. And number two, you can go out and enjoy a great sport like sporting clays or trap or skeet. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's the whole reason we wanted to have her on, is to kind of help with that conversation.
Definitely. And we can't thank her enough. Again, Dianna, thank you when you're listening to this. It was great meeting you down at the Fiocchi team meeting, and it was just awesome that you found time in your busy schedule to come sit down with us and have a podcast.
Yeah, and I really do help Ryan holds up quick, and I've brought that up a couple times because I've been in his shoes. I mean, I broke my neck, my back, was in a halo, and I went through all the scary stuff that he's going through right now. And Ryan, I know it's a long road to recovery, buddy, but don't give up the good fight, man. Never give up. So
No, we're all pulling for you.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, Sean, speaking of people that never give up, thank you very much to Elite Shotguns,
That's right, and Fiocchi USA,
Rhino Chokes,
RE Ranger,
Odo Pro Technologies,
Atlas Traps,
Vero Beach Clay Shooting Sports,
the lovely Don Grant,
and everybody over at Score Chaser. Thank you all very much. Sean Alley, what do we tell everybody every week, buddy?
We preach, take somebody out, take them shooting. If they're new to the game, introduce it to them, let them have fun, Let them break some targets and watch that smile hit their face. And if you have shooting buddies, why don't you guys get registered, go out and shoot some tournaments, figure out how fun competition is. I guarantee you're going to get hooked.
Absolutely. Don't forget to get your golf cart tickets. Don't forget to send us the questions for the coaches. And Sean Alley, don't forget, until next week.
We can't wait to see you all back here on the Dead Pair Podcast.
We'll see you next time on the Dead Pair Podcast.
The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by Elite Shotguns and Vero Beach Clay Shooting and is fueled by Fiocchi USA. The Dead Pair theme song was written, arranged, and produced by Toby Tomplay. Special thanks to the following sponsors: Rhino, Odo Pro, Dawn Grant, Atlas Trap Company, and RE Ranger.